failure and outside of my family. I had my family coming over the top of me, puppeteering again, so undermining my directive of how I manage my children. Um, Made me again feel like I failed. And this brings me to that topic of there's like this pandemic here in New Zealand of so many people thinking that they've got a right to fucking call up on other parents and informing the government or the system or the law that their parenting is failing their children. And obviously Oranga Tamariki or SIFs have stepped in and taken a lot of mothers' children away from them, and I'm grateful that I was never in that scenario, but I definitely can empathise with what they've been made to feel, and that's why what governs this land, that they've had their rights taken away from them, their rights to their own children. Oh man, that's just like could break somebody's soul, and how do we turn that failure into something fabulous? It's restore, and to be honest, it's to restore their worth, because when especially a mother or a father have been stripped of their right to be that parent, is especially from a government or what controls or dictates us, can do so much more damage than actually dealing with the issue of why people would think that they have the right to make contact with police to let them know to take those children off them. Like, who are these people to think that they have the right to do that? Like, what about fucking thinking how we can help that parent? Is instead of fucking victimizing them and alienating them to feel like they're not capable. Well, obviously they're fucking capable because they fucking had the child. They've lacked in having the tools to know how to nurture and love their children. There's so many different reasons why, So why wouldn't we work on trying to give them those tools and give them those understanding of what family security is, and what and how you teach yourself to become more affectionate, or how to soften, like why would people go straight to the law and say those parents are smoking crack, you need to go remove those children? And this is where I struggle with people's failures and believe that we have that opportunity to turn it into something fabulous and restore those individuals' worth, those parents. I really want to sort of touch a lot on that, because it's been normalised to think that it's okay for people just to make contact with Oranga Tamariki or SIFs, to make contact with them and let them know that this parent down the road is a crackhead, or a heroin addict, or a cocaine fucking addict. Addictions are addictions. Addictions are gateways to suppress what's really, really, really hurting, or or just what's not gained through knowledge, taking that time to um, put themselves around those people that are good nurturers or are good parents, whatever that is, whatever the fuck a good parent is, because I was not a good parent. I wasn't the perfect parent. Why do we aspire to want to ridicule people's behaviours? I mean, yeah, I know that it would be to make sure we take children away from parents that really do um, physically abuse, torture children. Then there's serious things that need to be put in place to protect the children and save them before that abuse turns into a cycle of them thinking that's normal. Um, and look, to be quite honest, that was the reason why I left my ex-husband, because I didn't want my children growing up thinking the way we treated each other was normal. That wasn't love. That wasn't honor. That wasn't loyal. That wasn't. His actions showed otherwise, and which created anger, violence, abuse. Um, I just thought about my children. That's the reason why I left my children's father, because it became toxic, and whether that I played a part, I played a part. I'm not trying to say that I'm a perfect fucking Samaritan, but it set me off. It would set me off, and my anger, my temper, my violent streak was ugly, and I didn't want to. I didn't believe that I believed I was worth more than what he was giving me anyway, and sure as hell wanted to make sure my children knew that. But again, that backfired on me because they held it against me for leaving him. He made sure he planted the seed that it was me that left, and so my son created bitterness towards me, because I didn't want them to see what I saw. And so I'm still dealing with that as a fail, but in time I hope that they will understand. Well, I know they do. But the subtle thing is that, like, them being involved in your father's life, and he's gonna always hold this I shoulda, I coulda, would've type of thing, and my son and my daughter both see that their father's still in love with me, but and I feel bad sometimes because they just want to fit the mold of how society portrays mummies and daddies and brothers and sisters and a family unit. And if you're out of that, if you're not in that family compatible mummy and daddy or husband and wife relationship, shit, I just lost what I was saying. If you're not in that, then what's the use of being in that relationship? I know a lot of men and women, especially women, a couple of generations or many generations ago, would realize that they made the worst decision of their life by staying. They believed in that, well, you made your bed, you might as well sleep in it. So they sit in it, and they're lying. themselves to paint a fake picture to the world of who they are, you know? Afraid to admit the failure or defeat. Like it's a shame. But back to the topic is finding fabulous in failure as an opportunity for you to grow. Because fuck what anybody else thinks. Because at the end of the day, at least you're living the truth. I think the last conversation I had with my kids regarding their father and trying to tell me, Mum, you just need to get back with Dad. You know you love him. And I just had enough of them trying to dictate to me about how my life should be, and I told them to shut the fuck up. Who the fuck do you think you are? Do you think you control my destiny? And I also said to them, what did you want me to live a lie just to make you happy? I felt that was necessary to share with them, because ever since I had that moment with them, they've never tried to bring it up to me again, because I think I validated that. I wouldn't be living it in my truth if I stayed with somebody I wasn't in love with, somebody that didn't give a fuck about me, who was just selfish, and wasn't going to wasn't going to reciprocate the ideal of what I thought a commitment was, and that's okay. I felt like I controlled that relationship a lot of the time, but at the same time, I brought him into a world he'd never even seen money the way my family operates. So he was handed a platter, a silver platter of money. His whole family moved over to Australia as well. His mum married and bought a house over there. And then I've moved back to New Zealand, and all of his family are living over in Australia now. One of the tables turned, and how maybe the divine works in those mysterious ways, where people are fixated on the material world and ownership of money. I feel a little bit grateful that, I came from that world where money wasn't something I ever needed. I never starved. I never wanted anything. So having that as something that was just normal to me, to my ex-husband Lorenzo, he became like a fat kid who loves cake and took things for granted. And then he lost me. So it boils down to those choices and the lessons, and for me it was just like, fuck, how many times do I have to turn the other fucking cheek? But I did. And I've forgiven him, and he hurt me more and more, and I forgave him. And then he married one of my cousins. And then he ran away from her, and then he started going out with another cousin of mine. So every projection after our relationship ended was all about the reaction of him wanting to see how it would make me feel if he hooked up with one of my cousins, be my guest mate like that. And if my cousins wanted to go there, I hope they like sloppy seconds and thirds, yo. That was the fabulous lesson and that fail of, no, actually, and a whole from my relationship with my children's father. I learned that he was everything I didn't want in a man. And I had to experience an idea of what I thought love was, and honoured that. And when it wasn't returned, I had to make that decision. I wish I could have done it gracefully, but I was a very temperamental, easily hurt and explosive. It doesn't help that as an adult, you learn about who you are and how we operate and things like that, and to understand that if I was to go to a doctor and they would probably, having ADHD would be hyper, hyper, ADHD, hyper, ADHD, I don't know what the fuck was ADHD, attention deficit hyper disorder. It's very, very hard for me to focus on one thing where, with my ADHD, probably why I was so successful though, like where I was just, my professional life was very, that's all I had, and if it wasn't that, it was my kids. And so my personal life, as far as trying to hold down a relationship, was not even on my mind then. I was still very bitter, still very hurt by all the actions that he did, by having affairs, lying, fucking touching my little cousins, and being the last one to find out was humiliating and just dumb. Just so, I just hate that I had to go through that, and I never want to go through that shit again. And I think I'm more than happy to be alone, because I can walk in my truth. Or, trusting, committing is something that is sharing with somebody is